Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Creative Living Fellowship's online Sunday service. Please join me in our opening song, Use Me. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, and God's so much more than the earth and the stars and all of creation. God is creator, all in all, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Sending lots of love and blessings to you, CLF.
Good morning, beautiful expressions of the universe.
Hello, CLF. Stay safe.
Hola, CLF.
I love you, CLF.
And we love you, Youth Ministry. It's so good to see you guys this morning. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to our 2021 online Sunday service, the first one of the year. And I'm trusting that you all had a wonderful, safe, healthy holiday season, and that you're raring to go for 2021 into this new year. I know that I am. It's really great to be moving forward into a new year in a new way, a new day, and all that. So I'm the Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary, and it is my pleasure to be the senior minister here and to welcome you here today. We are an independent religious science church, and we welcome all paths that lead to truth. I'd like to first thank Reverend Dr. Jeanette Freeman, who was here as our guest speaker last week, and a wonderful talk that she gave for us, and we're glad that she was here with us. And I'd also like to thank Jeannie Sarvins, who served as our host last week while I had the Sunday off. So thank you guys very much. And as I said, that we are a religious science church, and we welcome everyone here. We have two practitioners who are holding the high watch for us today. They are Peter Waring and Rhonda Emmerich. And what that means is that they're sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation throughout the time that we spend here today, just holding a space for the perfect unfolding of this service today. Our vision here at Creative Living Fellowship is to be a community of care, connection, and creation that opens hearts and incubates dreams. And of course, we do that through the principles and practices of the science of mind. And that's what Holding the High Watch is all about. It's a practice of the science of mind, just holding space. So I thank Rhonda and I thank Peter for their service this morning. Our Sunday service team, as usual, all of them are here today, and Happy New Year's, you guys. We have Deb Covington and Nicole Jordan as our AV team here today. Deb is also our song leader. We have our music director, David Panessa, and we have as our AV team, both people are here today, Reverend Mary Jane Hyde and Fran Peck, and we really appreciate all of them. I really appreciate all of you guys and all the service that you provide. And Happy New Year again to all of you. And so Nicole is going to bring us our announcements. And following the announcements, there will be a brief gong wash. And after the gong wash, there'll be a few moments of silence. And then practitioner Jeannie Sarverns will bring us our reading and our opening prayer. I invite you to take the words of the reading into your hearts and into your minds and just allow them to find a resting place there in your hearts today. And so now here's Nicole with the announcements.
Good morning, Creative Living Fellowship. Happy New Year. And I just have to say, yesterday I became the mother of a 13-year-old boy. So this new year, I am accepting prayers. Let's go ahead and get on to our announcements. Don't meditate alone, meditate with us in Zoom. Join us for midday meditation at noon, Monday through Thursday. We are still live streaming to Facebook if you prefer to participate that way. Stay connected and supported with your CLF family and join Reverend Sherry every Tuesday as she hosts a Community Care Connection Zoom meeting at 6:30. This week, Reverend Sherry will be leading us in Life's Purpose Visioning. This is a powerful process that reveals more the more you do it. Visioning is a spiritual practice that aligns you to the possibilities greater than you can have ever imagined for your experience. So join us this Tuesday and open up, surrender, and catch God's vision for your life. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. All right, it's official. Goodbye 2020. It is gone. And it is the beginning of 2021. So on Saturday, January 9th, from 11 to 1:30 on Zoom, join Reverend Mary Jane Hyde for her annual Vision Board Workshop. You will need to get your own materials, which are poster board, magazines, glue, and scissors, or you can do it online and virtually with an app and use online photos. Mary Jane can show you how to do this. Remember, you can text to give to make your contributions to CLF. Simply text the amount you would like to give to 602-610-1868. If it's your first time donating by text, you will be sent a link to set up your account. And then after that, it's as easy as texting the amount you'd like to tithe to 602-610-1868. CLF is a tithing church, which means that we tithe off of your tithes. Our third quarter tithe of $4,491.57 went to St. Mary's Food Bank, and we are tithing our fourth quarter tithes to YWCA of Metropolitan Phoenix. And speaking of those quarterly tithes, we are always looking for more nonprofits to send our tithes to. If you have a nonprofit you would like to nominate, please use the link found in the comments to submit your recommendation. Our Sunday prayer room is available to you after service today. And there's no reason to miss out on your post-service prayer stop with the practitioner. Technology enables us to continue to provide you with this vital service. So immediately after service, head on over to the Zoom link that's provided in the comments and let one of our licensed practitioners hold the truth for you no matter what you're going through and offer you support through spiritual mind treatment and spiritual practices. We also still offer after service fellowship. Join Reverend, or not Reverend, whew. Join practitioner Jeannie Sovereigns in Facebook Messenger chat from 11:15 to 12:15 and hang out, discuss the service and what's on your mind or heart. Also today, your children are invited to join our youth ministry for a Zoom lesson at 12 p.m. Lessons are focused on nurturing their spirituality and science of mind practices. Weekly topics are inspired by Reverend Sherry's themes and include social, emotional, growth mindset, and mindfulness practices. You can find the details for all of our events with their links on our website under events, under our Facebook events, or posted in the comments and in your weekly newsletter. That is it for today's announcements. It is now time to move on to our gong wash, followed by a moment of silence.
Today's reading is excerpts from The Great Surrender in Living the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Every person's search is for something that will make him whole and happy, cause him to feel safe and secure, and something that will make her certain that she is going to live forever someplace. We cannot believe that the divine intelligence, which created everything, including ourselves, could possibly have done so without at the same time providing a way for us to live as happy, whole, human, and divine beings. Jesus said he was the way, the truth, and the life. He said, "He that loseth his life for me, for my sake, shall find it." At first, this seems like a hard and strange thing to do. It cannot be possible that Jesus meant that we should literally lose our lives, but rather that there must be things in our lives that we should let go of. We shall find that the thing Jesus laid the greatest emphasis on was the idea that we are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe right now. That God, the supreme spirit and intelligence in the universe, the power that governs everything, is not some far-off presence. It is something that is immediate, a presence that is not only with us, but within us. We live in it, and it moves through us. When Jesus said that we must lose our lives, he must have been referring to that part of us which denies this supreme presence, which lives contrary to it, which is out of harmony with it. He was telling us that there are certain things we have to surrender before we can find our true center, the real spirit. He must have meant that we lay down everything that constitutes the great unreality, the great lie, the great separation. Those who have made this surrender have found a real peace of mind, happiness, and wholeness in the only place where it can be found, within themselves. Let's do that now. Go within ourselves. Knowing that the presence, the being, the wholeness, the happiness that is God, that is universal spirit, is us. It is where we live, move, and have our being. And I know this truth for myself and for all present here today, within the sound of my voice and beyond. Knowing that this one presence, this one life, this one heartbeat, this one breath is God and is moving here now, within and without, blessing this time together, those gathered, and every word spoken and heard. I bless Reverend Sherry and her message that the divine is moving in as and through her, is heard by those who need and want this divine message, knowing that God is all there is. I bless those that are part of our service in helping keeping it going, our AV team, our music, our musical guest, and inspiration. I know that this is done already in the mind of God, that this year is blessed, that this day is blessed, and that it is all good. And for that, I am truly grateful. And I let it go into a law that clearly and only says yes. And so it is. And I am grateful for our musical inspiration, Craig Haley.
Time means nothing to a dog when he's dreaming, as he runs through endless fields and streams. Fast asleep, he is content, not a worry come and do. All is well in his world, say, how about you? When she's dancing to and fro and all things in between. Can't be bought, can't be caught. She has everything she needs. All is well in her world. How about you? If we take the time to ponder just what does time mean, it's really just an endless stream of now. Say the past is long forgotten, the future's just a dream. So all that really matters, well, it's now. Time means nothing to a bird when she's singing. Fills the air everywhere without cue. Every note ebbs and floats in perfect harmony. All is well in her world. How about you? If we take the time to ponder just what does time mean, it's really just an endless stream of now. Say the past is long forgotten and the future, well, it's just a dream. All that really matters is right now. Time means nothing to a dog when he's dreaming, as he runs through endless fields and streams. Fast asleep, he's content, he has everything that he needs. All is well in his world. All's well in his world, you know all is well in his world. How about you?
Thank you so much, Craig Haley. That's our favorite friend, Craig Haley, who's starting us out this new year. And he'll be back with us after the message and during the offering time. So let's just take a breath together. Let's take our first breath together during this new year, this 2021 that we have moved into, that we are moving into. And as I said earlier, I'm trusting that you all had a wonderful holiday season and that you're all ready to start anew and to move forward. I know that I am. I'm really excited about this new year, and I'm ready to see what happens as we believe, because our theme for this year is Dare to Believe. And I talked about Dare to Believe a few weeks ago, and I was so excited about it that I want us to spend the entire year daring to believe, daring to believe. Ernest Holmes says that the science of mind teaches that spirit is limitless, but it can only be to us what we believe it to be. And why must we believe? Because until we are believing that it is, then we're believing that it is not. It is all a matter of belief. And so I want us to really be into that place of recognizing and realizing in our lives that, as Jesus the Christ said, it is done unto you as you believe. And so it is done unto us as we believe. And so we want to really deepen and strengthen our belief muscle throughout this year and really move forward, knowing that the path forward is defined by possibilities when we really dare to believe. And so our theme for this month is release, recapture, and reclaim. release, recapture, and reclaim. And so today we're going to be talking about the release factor. The topic today is the great surrender, the great surrender. And that was such a wonderful reading that Jeannie Sarvins did this morning about the great surrender, that to lay down our lives means laying down anything that would hamper us, that would hinder us, that would encumber our connection to and our belief in that one power, that one presence, that one supreme being, that divine intelligence that governs all, that is always right where we are, always right where we are. So we want to look at the great surrender in our own lives, and we want to look at the great surrender in our community today. Those are the things we want to look at, the great surrender, surrendering anything and everything that promotes and facilitates the great lie that we are separate from the all that is, the great lie that there isn't that reality, that only reality that is God, the great lie that there is anything other than the one power, the one presence, the one mind, the one life, the one essence that is God. And so let's just take a breath together as we just look at this whole idea of surrender. And, moving into the new year, we often think of surrender. We often think of letting go, surrender meaning to let go, to give up the fight, to release and to let go. They're synonymous. And we often think of letting go of the old. We often think of making New Year's resolutions, of things that we're going to start doing that are different. We're going to start living our lives in a different way. And usually the top of the list is always going to be to lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds or however many pounds. Losing weight is always at the top of the list of the resolutions that we make, or stopping doing something that we've been doing, smoking or drinking or whatever the case may be. But this time, I just want us to be into a place of, yes, we can make those resolutions, we can set goals. Those are all wonderful things to do. But what are the things that have been holding us back? What are the things that we've been holding on to that we've gotten so caught up in that we just need to put down? Just put down the fight. What have we been resisting that we need to release and just let go? What have we been doing that has been keeping us feeling separate from the divine, separate from the all that is, separate from the onlyness that is God? What is it that has been keeping us from living our life to the fullest, to experience the allness and the fullness of God that is right where we are always? What's been keeping us from doing that? And so I invite you to really think on these things this day. Think on these things this day as we take a breath and just start to kind of examine the things that we are going to be looking at surrendering, letting go, giving up the fight. And, as I mentioned, giving up the fight, it's really interesting that in our world today, it seems that there's just one big fight about one thing after another. There seems to be encouragement to fight, encouragement to be divisive, encouragement to be ununified. And we don't want to get caught up in that. We want to just let all that go. We want to give up whatever the fight may be, whatever the struggle may be, because life is not supposed to be a struggle. Life isn't supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be there's supposed to be ease and grace as we walk forward in our lives. And of course, there are challenges that come up. We live in a world of facts. There are things that happen. There are conditions that appear. But as religious scientists, we know how to return to our center. We know how to return to first cause. We know how to return to the all that is, so that we can give up the fight and just be in a place of allowing. Give up the surrender to what is and just be in a place of allowing the guidance and the direction that is always right where we are, the protection that is always right where we are, to help us to move forward as we just put one foot in front of another, one foot in front of another, one foot in front of another. The exciting thing about this time of year is that there's so many possibilities. At the first of the year, we think about, wow, so many possibilities for us. So many possibilities as we move forward. There are people that I've heard say that they are afraid of moving into this year. There are others I've heard say that they are really excited to move into this year. They're so glad that 2020 is gone, not recognizing that 2020 was just a time on the calendar, it was just a year, and there were conditions that happened. Because now that we are in 2021, we are smack dab in the middle of not no country, smack dab in the middle of let go country. We don't know what's going to happen in 2021. Everyone assumes 2021 is going to be better. And yes, one thing we know for sure is that it's going to be different. It's going to be different. 2021 is going to be different. And how we experience it happens to be a part of our own consciousness. It's a part of our own consciousness. How are we going to change our consciousness and deepen in consciousness so that our experience will be different? How are we going to do that? How are we going to clear out those things that don't serve us? How are we going to stop fighting against those things that don't serve? Stop fighting against anything. How are we going to stop resisting? Are we willing? Are we willing at this point to make the great surrender? That's the question that we have. Are we willing to do something different? Are we willing to move forward into the unknown without moving forward? Because we're going to move forward anyway, but are we willing to do it without kicking and screaming? Are we willing to do it with ease and with grace? That's the big question that we have today. Are we willing to move into a place of oneness? Are we willing to live a life of unity? Are we willing to, as I said, to let go of the fight and to really focus on unity and how we can move forward together, and how we can move forward in harmony, and how we can move forward in peace, and how we can move forward in love, and how we can move forward experiencing all the qualities of God, the love, the joy, the peace, the harmony, the balance, all of those things, even as we move forward into the unknown. And as I've said before, we are in the desert. We're in the middle of unknown territory. We don't know the way forward. What we do know the way forward is putting one foot in front of the other and trusting that divine presence within each one of us. And that's in our own lives, as I said, individually, and that's in our lives as a community, this community of Creative Living Fellowship. You know, the New Year's gift for us this year, on New Year's Day, I received a signed contract for the purchase of our property, of the CLF property. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. That's an exciting thing. We signed the contract and we are now under contract to sell the property. Now that's an exciting thing, and it can be a scary thing because, as I said, it has put us right in the middle of we don't know what the next step is going to be. We don't know where the next place is going to be. We don't know anything except where we are right now. But you know what? That's the way life is. We never know. We never know what the next step is going to be, but we think we do. But now here we are, and we don't know what CLF looks like going forward. We don't know how we show up going forward, but we do know, one thing I know for sure is that there is a plan. There's a divine plan. I know for sure that there is a vision that God has of itself as Creative Living Fellowship. I know for sure that Creative Living Fellowship is much more than a building or a property or a physical space. I know for sure that Creative Living Fellowship is a community. And the community is built on love and feeling, a feeling of togetherness, a feeling of unity, a common unity is what a community is. And that's what we are. And so I'm inviting all of us as we move forward to be willing to surrender the fear, be willing to surrender the doubt, be willing to surrender the what ifs, be willing to surrender the complaining, be willing to surrender any resistance or any fight or whatever the case may be. Be willing to surrender those things. And as I said, be willing to surrender them as a community and be willing to surrender them in our own individual lives, and be willing to look at those things that bring us together. Look at those things that bring us together in our individual lives, those things that bring us back to ourselves, that bring us back to the truth that God is our very life, that there is no separation between God and me, that there's no separation between God and you. There's no separation between any of us because God is the common denominator in it all. that God is at the very center of everything that's going on. And that's what we have to keep coming back to over and over and over again. And so what I'm inviting you to do right now is take a breath. Just take a breath, because I gave you some information that may require a big breath, that we now are under contract to sell the property. And that means that we move forward in a different kind of way. We move forward in a different kind of configuration. And the thing that we have to keep in mind is that, no, we can never go back to being the way things were. No, we can never go back to life being the way it used to be. As I've said over and over and over again, everything has changed. Everything has changed forever. And that's exciting, and that is scary. And we continue to move forward because we know that there's that power and that presence that is always guiding us, always directing us. And so we don't have anything to fear except fear itself, and the belief in the fear itself, belief in a crisis, belief in whatever it is we're believing in. So I'm inviting you now to just take a breath and take a step back, and to just look at what are those things that you need to surrender right now? What are those things that are blocking you from living your life to the fullest, from being all that you can be, from being in connection and in unity with yourself? What are those things? And the word that comes up for me is swirls. There's a swirl is something that becomes a controlling focus in our lives, that takes us away from ourselves, that takes all of our time, our attention, and our energy. A swirl takes all of our time, our attention, and our energy, and it pulls us away from ourselves. It pulls us away. It could be anything that's outside ourselves, or it could be another person. But anything that takes us away from ourselves and becomes the controlling focus of our attention, our time, and our energy, that's a swirl. That's a swirl. And a swirl is something that can separate us. A swirl, and we can label it positive or negative, but it's something that separates us. It can be habits that we have. It can be patterns that we have. It can be watching the news and getting caught up in the politics of today. It can be getting caught up in anything that separates us, getting caught up in anything that separates us. It can be substance abuse. It can be relationships that are not working, or relationships that are, but also are taking us away from ourselves. And when we're being taken away from who we are in our own lives, and we've been taken away from that power and that presence that is our very life, because something else has taken all of our time and all of our attention and all of our focus. And when we find ourselves, and it could even be a job, it could even be a career, but whatever it is, we have to be willing to, first of all, identify the swirls in your life. Identify the swirls in your life. When you find yourself so caught up in things outside yourself, when you find yourself so caught up in things that take you away from yourself, when you find yourself so caught up that you don't get a chance to do your spiritual practice, you don't get a chance to think about self-care, you don't get a chance to really recognize and honor that power and that presence that is always with us and that is always guiding us. When we don't get a chance to follow that guidance because we don't hear it, because we're so caught up in the swirls. So I'm inviting you to start out with just identifying the swirls in your life, identifying if there is a swirl in your life. I'm willing to bet there is. There's swirls in all our lives. There are things that we get caught up in all the time. The things that we get caught up in all the time. Is there something that you're resisting? Is there something that you're resisting that you know that you're being guided to do? Is there something that you are just determined that you're going to do it your way, even though it may not be the best way, but you're going to do it your way anyway? That used to be my default position, as many of you who know me know, that it was always, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it my way. So I was always arguing with God. I was always fighting with God. I was always going to do things my way. And you know what? Once I decided to surrender that quality, once I decided to let that go, once I decided to stop fighting, I have so much peace in my life. I have so much peace of mind in my life. And that's what I'm inviting you to do. Surrender those things that would keep you away from the allness and the fullness of the of who you are and of your connection with the all that is. And you can experience so much peace and so much harmony and so much balance in your life. And that's how we lay down our lives. We lay down those things that would keep us separate from the all that is. We lay down those things. We let go. We let go of those things that hinder us, that take all of our time, all of our attention, all of our focus. Let go of those swirls. So first of all, identify the swirls in your life. Identify the swirls in your life. What's taking all your time, energy, and attention? Identify those and then decide that you're going to release them, that you're going to surrender them. You're going to give them up. You're going to lay them down. You're going to give up the fight, if it's a fight, if it's resistance, whatever it may be. You're going to lay them down. And then look at, how do you do that? How do you let them? First of all, you got to know what they are. And then you got to be mindful and pay attention as you go through your life, putting one foot in front of the other and paying attention to, oh, here's the swirl. Oh, I'm caught up in this swirl. Oh, I'm caught up in this anger. Oh, I'm caught up in this resentment. Oh, I'm caught up in this unforgiveness. Oh, I'm caught up in this gossip. Oh, I'm caught up in this overeating. Oh, I'm caught up in this drinking. Oh, I'm caught up in this, whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be, anything that takes our focus and takes our attention away from our oneness and with the all that is. Anything that takes our attention away from practicing the presence always and recognizing the power and the presence of God always right where we are. Anything like that are things that we want to surrender. We want to surrender so that we can move forward easily and effortlessly. The same thing is true, not only, as I said, in our individual lives, but in our community. As we move forward in this community, we don't know how we're going forward. We don't know where we go from here. We don't know what the next step is. But you know what? We don't need to know that. We don't have to know. That's not before us right now. What we're supposed to do next, we don't know. But we know what we're doing right now. We're having Sunday service right now on Zoom. And when it's time for us to do something else, we will know, because we'll be guided to do the next thing. And so what we want to do is to stay present and to stay connected right where we are right now, without complaining. And I'm inviting you to surrender the complaints. Surrender the complaints. Surrender the complaints that, well, it's not the same. When people tell me that they haven't been connected because it's just not the same. Because seeing Sunday service on Zoom is just not the same. Well, no, it isn't. It isn't supposed to be. It isn't supposed to be. Being on Zoom on Sunday service is not supposed to be the same as being in the sanctuary where we can see each other and hug and laugh and talk and sit in Holmes Hall and have a meal together. It isn't the same, and it's not supposed to be. So when we can give up our complaints, when we can surrender our complaints, and the complaints separate us, because as so long as we're thinking it's not the same, it's different. When we're thinking that, we're thinking separation. We're thinking separation. We aren't looking at the possibilities of how we can still come together, how we can still be together, how we can still be a community, how we can still move forward in the community. You know, I haven't seen my family, and many of you haven't seen yours in many, many months. And many of you have not spent time together. No, it's not the same. And Christmas was not the same. Having Christmas and opening gifts on Zoom with my daughter, that wasn't the same, but it wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be, but you know, we had a wonderful time just sharing on Zoom, opening gifts, talking, having coffee, finding a new way to live our lives, finding a new way to enjoy our lives, finding a new way to experience harmony, finding a new way to experience joy. And so that's what we're being asked to do now in our individual lives and in our life as a community, finding a new way to connect. We have, as I've said before, we have Tuesday evening connection meetings every week. Learn to connect with us on Zoom. No, it's not the same. And it's a wonderful time to connect. It's a wonderful time to see each other. It's a wonderful time to share in our lives. It's a wonderful time to share as a community. Because as we move forward, we are moving forward in a different way. And we got to be willing to give up the resistance to it being different and open our hearts and open our minds and open our entire beings to the possibilities that lie ahead for us, the possibilities of all that this community can be, because I know for sure that Creative Living Fellowship is a divine idea in the mind of God. I know for sure that God has a vision for itself as Creative Living Fellowship, just like I know for sure that God has a vision for itself as me, and that God has a vision of itself as you, as each one of us. And so when we can open up to that and open up to the possibilities and dare to believe in those possibilities, then we're going to move forward in a way that we could not even imagine at this time. We're going to move forward in a way we cannot even imagine at this time. But the first thing we have to do is make the great surrender. Make the great surrender. We have to make the great surrender of of anything that's holding us back. We got to make the great surrender of those swirls. We got to make the great surrender of that complaining. We got to make the great surrender of anything that makes us think that we're separate from God and separate from each other. We aren't separate from each other just because we can't see each other in person or hug each other. We aren't separate. We are still a part of this community. We are still a part of the one. And that one is still our very life that is animating us, that is motivating us, that is inspiring us, that is moving us forward, and that has so much in store for us. And so I'm inviting you to really, really, really surrender the resistance, surrender the fear, surrender the no, I'm not going, surrender all that stuff. Surrender all that stuff and just take a deep breath, take a step back, take a deep breath, take a step back, take a deep breath. Because every time we take a deep breath, we are really taking an energetic step back. And we're taking an energetic step back into ourselves, into our own beingness. Every breath brings us back into ourselves. Let's do that now. Let's take a breath together now. Just taking a deep breath into ourselves. And allowing that breath to just anchor us right here and right now. Right here and right now into ourselves. We are being anchored right here and right now into ourselves. And as we take this deep breath together, this collective breath together, we're taking a deep breath together as a community. As a community. All of us are taking this collective breath together as a community. It is bringing us together now. As we surrender the great lie of separation. We are not separate. We are not separate. We aren't seeing each other physically, but we are not separate. We are all together because we are a community of care, connection, and creation. We are a community of care and connection. And so we discover those ways that we can connect with each other. We discover those ways that we can really practice the oneness that we say we believe in, really practice the oneness that is at the very core of our beingness, really practice the oneness. And this brings us back to core teaching of Science of Mind, change your thinking, change your life. Change the way you're thinking about this time. Change the way you're thinking about how we connect now. And when you change the way you think about it, you will change the way you believe about it. And when you change that, you will change your life. Our lives will change. Our community will change. There's so much in store for us, so many new possibilities for us. And as I said, I am so excited about it. I'm so excited about us moving forward in a different way. I'm so excited to see what God has in store because I know God has a plan. So I'm so excited to see what that is. I want to see how God is going to show up now as our lives. I want to see how God is going to show up now as our community. I want to see how God is going to show up in and through and as me. I want to see how God is going to show up in and through and as Creative Living Fellowship. And in order to do that, to see that, to experience that, I'm willing to surrender any resistance. I'm willing to surrender any fear. I'm willing to surrender any doubt. I'm willing to surrender any swirls of any kind. And I'm inviting you to do the very same thing. I'm inviting you to do the very same thing. So let's take a breath now as we make this commitment to identify the swirls, make the commitment to make the great surrender of those things that would hold us back, that would block in any way. Make the commitment right here and right now to move forward in ease and in grace and in trust and in faith, knowing that God has this. God's got this. God's got our back. God's got all of us, all of us. And so let's make this the best year ever, by moving forward in faith and trust, in oneness and wholeness as a community, and in community with ourselves. So let's turn within in this moment. Just turning within for prayer now. Just recognizing that there's but one power, there's but one presence, there's but one life, there's but one mind, there's but one activity, there's but one essence. That one I choose to call God. That one is the source of my being. That one is the source of us all. That one is my very life. That one is the life of each of us here this day. Each of us here this day. And so I am speaking the word for each of us this day. As we move forward into this new year, as we move forward into this time of the unknown, knowing that God goes before us, making straight our way, and that everything that needs to be known is already known in the mind of God. And it is revealed to us as it is necessary for it to be revealed to us. Meanwhile, I know that we are guided and we are directed every step of the way. Guided and directed every step of the way. And so I speak a word of release right now, releasing resistance, releasing fear, releasing doubt, releasing whatever it is that would hold any of us back. I speak that word right here and right now, a word of release. And I also speak a word of acceptance as we accept the allness and the fullness of God and the healing presence of God in every aspect of our lives, in every aspect of our being. I know that this acceptance is ours right here and right now. And I know that anything that needs to be healed is healed right here and right now by that radiant healing presence of God that is right in our midst, right where we are. If it's anything having to do with the body temple, I know that there's healing happening in the body temple of anyone who's needing healing in the body temple this day. But I know that the allness and the fullness of God and that radiant healing presence is in every organ, every cell, every tissue, every function, every system of our body temples, and that radiant presence is that presence of God that is healing everything that needs to be healed. I know that anyone who's affected by COVID from the loss of a loved one or being affected by it personally in any way, that healing presence of God is right where each person is, bringing comfort to the broken hearts and whatever else is necessary, support and care and love and light and peace of mind. I know that this prayer goes out to anyone who needs a prayer this day, anyone who's experiencing lack of any kind, anyone who's experiencing anything that is unlike that allness and fullness of God of any kind. That God is in the midst of everything, every situation, every circumstance. Healing is happening everywhere. And we release any attachment to what healing looks like and just allow the light of God to shine forth through each and every situation, each and every circumstance, each and every person, each and every relationship. I know that there's peace and there's harmony and there's forgiveness and compassion. I know that the healing presence of God is in the midst of everything. And so as I open this circle of prayer, I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently or aloud, and you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that God is in the midst of everything that's going on, that the power and the presence of God is right where each person is, right here, right now. This prayer goes out to this entire planet, this entire world, to government officials, to everything that's happening anywhere. God is in the midst of everything that's going on, and healing is happening everywhere. And so for this word spoken and for the perfect manifestation of this word spoken, I say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, as we move forward. Thank you, God. I know that all is well, for I know that all is God. And so it is. Thank you, David. Let's take a breath together as we move into our offering time. This is a time that we give of our tithes and offerings. And as you know, CLF is a tithing church. And I invite you to participate in this sacred practice with us by tithing right here at Creative Living Fellowship. You can do that by pressing the donate button on our website or by clicking on the donate on the comments. And you can also text to tithe. However you give, I want you to know how much we really, really, really appreciate your continued financial support of Creative Living Fellowship. So why don't we now just say our offering blessing together? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God. And so it is. And now, favorite friend, Craig Haley is back for our offering song.
Love is kind of like a river, ever wild, flowing free, rolling through life's winding canyons, like it roars through you and me. Love is really never ending. Is just a passing chance. Thoughts of love in constant motion, you know, inviting us to join the dance. Well, the storms they may come, showers they may fall, fill my empty heartbeat with their rain. Charging never falls, the river still runs to quench my thirst, fill me up again. Did you ever stop to wonder if love will flow your way? You may hear the river whispering, there comes a brighter day. Oh, the storms they may come, showers might fall, fill my empty heartbeat with their rain. Charging never falls, the river still runs to quench quench my thirst, fill me up again. Don't forget the cycle of the river to the sea. Said with each and every rainfall, love is flowing back to you and me. For the storms they may come, showers they may fall, fill my empty heart beat with their rain. Charging ever forward, river still runs to quench my thirst, fill me up again. Storms they may come, showers they may fall, fill my empty heart beat with their rain. Charging ever forward, river still runs to quench my thirst, fill me up again.
Thank you so much, Craig Haley. It's wonderful having you back with us, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. So let's take a breath together. I just have a couple of closing announcements. I'd like to remind you that the fellowship time with practitioner Jeannie Sovereigns happens immediately after service. So you can drop by the fellowship room with Jeannie and connect with her and with other congregants and community members who are there. And you could even bring your food and break bread together in the fellowship time immediately after service in the fellowship Zoom room. Also, this practitioner Zoom prayer room is open immediately after service. So you don't have to leave with a heavy heart. You can stop into the Zoom room and have a private session in a breakout room with a practitioner, have a private prayer session with the practitioner this morning before you leave here today. So make sure you take advantage of the practitioner Zoom room and stop by for prayer, just like you used to do when we were in the sanctuary. Now you can do it in a private place on Zoom. At 12 o'clock today, the youth ministry meets as usual immediately, well, not immediately after service, but at 12 o'clock today is when we have youth ministry. And I always invite you to drop your kids off at the youth ministry on your way to the football games. And that would be great for the kids and great for the youth ministry to have everyone together again. So we are rebuilding with the youth ministry. So we invite parents and grandparents and people who have godchildren to bring them back to the church. We really miss our youth, and we'd like to have them back with our youth ministry on Sunday mornings to take advantage of those activities. We have Tuesday evening connection meeting that's the visioning starts this life's purpose visioning this Tuesday evening. What a great way to start the year with life's purpose visioning for God's purpose for your life. And we'll be doing that Tuesday evening, 6:30 to 7:45. I look forward to seeing you there. There's a Zoom call. And if you want to connect, there are ways to connect with us. And this is a way to connect with us on Tuesday evenings. I invite you to continue to use the treatment for supply. And use it and use it and use it. I got some wonderful testimonials for treatment for supply over the holiday. It was just wonderful things that are happening in people's lives. And so I invite you to continue to use the treatment. That's our community prayer. And as I said earlier, we're sort of in the desert, and in the desert, we don't want to stop. We want to keep going. And the treatment for supply keeps us going because God is always, always our supply. And we always want to be mindful of that. Continue to connect with each other in the ways that we know to connect with each other, with phone calls and text messages and emails and however else we connect with each other. The important thing is for us to stay connected. We know that we're connected in our hearts, and we want to just reach out to each other and say, hello, I'm thinking of you. I love you. I miss you. And that's what I'm saying to you this morning. I love you. I miss you. I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to connect this way. And I look forward to us continuing to connect as we move forward into this brand new 2021. How exciting is this with all the possibilities that are ahead of us? And so now we're going to move into our closing song and sing it loudly. I release and let go, because this is the great surrender today. So sing as loudly as you want to sing, and we can sing as loud as we want to in our own homes. I love you. See you next week.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I